Hey everybody, Shop Teacher here. Just wanted to get into a question I get asked a lot, and just to sort of clarify things and give you a little bit of history on these car programs and projects and all that. So this is kind of a FAQ type of video. Been getting a lot of these questions here lately. So one is, where'd you come up with the idea for the project, and is it original? Yes and no. So I want to go back a few years. I did teach a long time ago. I got out of education and I was working in the power sports industry. And in '08, the housing market collapsed, the power sports industry lending collapsed. A lot of bad things were going on. So I had a master's degree. I had a teaching certificate in the state of Texas. And the easiest thing for me to do at that time was just to go back and teach. Around that time, there was a show on TV called, gosh, I'm trying to think of what it was called. It was Speed Channel at the time. These kids would face off against different opposing high schools. They'd build a race car and they'd go drag race. Love the concept. Thought it was really cool. Big fan of the show. Didn't ever think that I was going to do something like that. I thought, man, that'd be cool to do that. So I got to Houston. I was teaching in inner city Houston, and these kids knew that I'd been involved in, automotive and racing and all that kind of stuff as any 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid. They kind of have a fascination and affinity towards that. And I say kid, boys and girls. There's no gender boundaries in this type of thing. Believe me, there's not. So they started saying, hey, let's build a race car. And I think they were kind of half joking, and at least I took it that way. So they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Hey, we want to learn more about, cars and this and that. Well, I was a science teacher at the time. I wasn't really a shop teacher for that matter. So I was looking for ways to get creative and see if we could do some type of, race car project or something of the sort. So we were building little things in the hallway, wind-powered cars, mousetrap cars, hoverboards, hovercrafts, all that, right? Eventually, I wrote a lot of letters, asking companies, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm faced with, this is what I'm up against, can you help? And, this was a time of economic crisis. No, nobody could help. As bad as they wanted to, they couldn't help. So about 2012, I sent a general email into U.S. Auto Parts, J.C. Whitney, which is now carparts.com, sent them an email, and they were looking for something to do with, they want to do some type of community outreach. They weren't sure how to get started, and here I was trying to receive some type of outreach, and I didn't know how to get started, didn't know, anything. Okay, so the two of us got together, and it was pretty exciting. So the guys at U.S. Auto Parts, carparts.com, we'll just call them carparts.com from this point on because that's who they are now. That's their identity. They said, hey, we'll supply you with what you need. Just go through our catalog. So went through their website, their catalog, whatever. Ordered a bunch of parts. Now, that's parts. We needed a car. So the only thing I had available to me at the time was a Pontiac GTO, which, there, you can kind of see it in the background. So I had this '06 GTO. My daily driver, I just paid it off. So what better thing to do than turn it into a science experiment? So the kids came in every day after school. The class was scientific research and design, and the concept of the class was to, learn data acquisition, data recording, fabrication, just kind of whatever the kids wanted to do. Scientific research and design had objectives for the state of Texas, but not necessarily a fixed curriculum like, let's say, a physics class. So these kids would come in every day after school. They'd come in Saturday. We worked on the car. We went to the Texas Mile. I had Donnie Neuenberger, who at the time was a NASCAR driver. He's now out of professional racing. So he's gone on to other things in the business world and whatnot, but he drove the car at the Texas Mile, and that was that. We did that a couple of times, and I got out of education for a little bit, just simply because it was hard to make money in Texas. It was also hard to sustain a program. Now, my program doesn't receive a lot of school funding, and there's some reasons for that. Part is that the school's not going to pay for a project maybe that is, let's say, unproven, or just sort of a one-off project, and that's fine. We find what we need, and we've got enough support, and that way we get to kind of do what we want as well. So fast forward a little while to 2020. I received a job offer here in the Chicago area. I was trying to get in with Chicago Public Schools. Then they went on a teacher strike, and things really got kind of crazy in late 2019 with the Chicago Public Schools, as I was closing in on some negotiations to work with them as an auto tech teacher. Well, that all sort of fell apart, especially when COVID hit. And then I took a job as a math and science teacher in a charter school here, but that wasn't exactly where I wanted to be, so I ended up here at Naperville North. And there were a couple of other schools that I had talked to and looked at and really strongly considered going to, but Naperville North seemed to be the best situation, best support. I could really kind of start this program from the ground up. It had been neglected a little bit. The shop had been, at least. And I'm the third teacher in like 3 years here, so let's hope this works out. But some things that, the shop just needed a lot of help. So I bought this 95 Mustang from a Copart auction for a couple $100, just thinking I was going to use the engine and transmission out of it. Then the car looked like it was okay to do a project with, and I was still kind of unsure of all that with COVID. Students couldn't be on campus. There were a lot of things going on, all this and that. Plus, the car was a convertible. Not real crazy about turning a convertible into a race car, but hey, whatever. The whole purpose behind this car was it was a 5-liter with the T5 transmission. And back in the day, back in high school, I had a Fox body, brand new. That's how old I am, with the 5-liter T5. So I just kind of thought, hey, this would be kind of neat. Maybe we'll put it into something. But the car was in relatively decent shape, all things considered. It looks like it went under a pickup truck or something, and caught the frame hitch or something and just ripped the whole front end apart. But other than that, the car wasn't all that bad. So I thought, well, this could be our project. I'd been talking to the folks at carparts.com for quite some time about doing a project. They wanted to. We just didn't, we didn't know how to put it together between the two of us, or where to put it together. So this just seemed to be the ideal situation, the ideal car. With the 95 Mustang, there's plenty of cheap aftermarket parts out there. So, and a lot of it's bolt-on. With the GTO, the project, try to center up here. Sorry about that if I'm moving around too much. The GTO was difficult. There weren't a lot of parts for it. It was a very high-tech project. It was got very above the skill level of students, and they got frustrated. Where with the Mustang, there's a lot out there. The 79 to 04 Mustangs all use essentially the same components and parts, or very similar components and parts. And stuff is cheap, it's readily available. We can go to a junkyard and get it. We can get it offline, whatever the case is, it's there. So, this car is, as soon as it comes back from getting the frame straightened on the one side where it's a little bent, it'll be easy to reassemble, where the GTO wasn't. But going back to, gosh, I talk, I know. I do this in class too, don't worry. So why the program? I got the start of the program, but why? Why would I do it? What would make kids want to come? What's your motivation? Those are kind of the questions. So, back when I was in high school and a young lad, I didn't play sports. I was super skinny. Imagine that. Super skinny guy. And didn't really have a lot of athletic ability, but one thing I really enjoyed was cars. And somewhere between my 8th and 9th grade year, kind of those formative years, was 14 years old, 13 years old. A lot of things happened that summer, and going up into that summer. One, a good friend of mine, he purchased a 1979 Honda XL100 dual sport bike for $20 plus a tape player. That's going back a bit, right? This is probably 86, 87, somewhere right around there. So we'd mess around with this thing all the time, all summer long. It was just a real piece of junk. And, when mom and dad were at work, all of us would get out on that motorcycle and do dumb things. Then right around that time, my dad purchased this 1970 Boss 302 Mustang, which I think really ignited my passion for autos. And I started working on cars. I felt like that was kind of a safe place for me. That was a good place for me. So, we worked on that car quite a bit. It was a project car. We didn't really have any direction on that car, which was not a good thing. And then when I turned 15 and I got my permit and started to drive, I went to a driving school in the Dallas area that had Porsche 944s and Mustang GTs. So, that was really exciting. 15-year-old getting to drive something like that, really awesome. So when I look at cars, cars have been a big part of my life. It's been kind of, to use the, I guess, common word now, the safe space, right? That the cars were my safe space. And the friends I made along the way have been friends I've had forever. And that's the one thing that kind of unites us. Doesn't matter what you're into, what music you listen to, how you dress, who you date, what color you are, what holidays you celebrate. That doesn't matter. It's all about the cars. So I think when I bring that into this program, this after-school program, it's about the cars, and it's about the kids. We have all kinds of different kids here. Different colors, different religions, different everything. And when they come here, none of it matters. All that matters is we're a team, and we're working on this car, and we're working for a common goal. And the kids hold each other accountable, which is pretty awesome. So they learn that way. And like I said, it's the bonds and those things along the way that have always kind of kept me in the automotive circle, whether it's working in the dealership with some of those people that I've kept in touch with, whether it's been racing cars, and I've kept in touch with those people over the years. Friends from high school that, we used to do car things with. And some of my best memories, I feel like, have been made with cars or at a racetrack or something of the sort. Because again, I didn't play football, I didn't play basketball, I didn't play baseball, I didn't like any of the stick and ball sports. That just wasn't me. I am a competitor, don't get me wrong. I am a competitor. And when it comes to racing one of these cars, that's where, my inner competitor comes out, so to speak. And that's kind of why I do it. I give these kids a place to go. There's some of these kids that they're not going to play sports, and maybe they're not going to be in Science Bowl, but they want a fun place to go, something that might interest them. And here it is, the Auto Club. This is their spot. And I've got kids that come in on Saturdays. I've got kids that, they're here on Friday night till I kick them out, till I got to go home to eat dinner. So it's pretty amazing to have that, and that's really why I do it. It is a little more challenging now. I've got a family, I've got a wife, got two teenage kids. So I do have to, keep all that in mind and try to keep as much balance in my life and in the program as possible to keep all of it going. But I do it because I do it, okay? I do it because when I look back on my life, what was important to me and what kept me going, what motivated me, what interest did I have. And it's not all about the academics, right? School is about academics, but really, what are we teaching kids here? We are teaching kids to think and be productive members of society. That's what I want, or that's what I think it is. When I did my master's degree, that's what they taught us, is that the purpose of of science education is to teach kids to think. And that's kind of what we do here. We work on a puzzle every night, a big puzzle that right behind us. And again, just giving students a safe and fun place to go. I think all kids need to be included. Everybody will sort of work their way out and figure out what it is that makes them feel good or makes them feel at home. But that's kind of the Auto Club as a summary, I guess. Long 20-minute summary. So if you have any questions about it, feel free to contact me. I'm here at Naperville North. Get me on Facebook, leave comments, whatever. But I appreciate everybody's help, everybody's input, everybody's encouragement. You know, what we do here may not be for everybody, and that's okay. Just keep everything positive and just, you know, encourage our kids. That's all I ask for. So like, share, subscribe. Appreciate everybody, and we will see you soon.